Hi, I'm Mark from L&M Small Engine. Today we're going to be putting a new chain on a Husqvarna 435 chainsaw. You can cut, or you can get pre-made chains, but when you live in a small town like we have here, it's very seldom you'll find a chain that'll fit your saw. And around here, I like using bulk chain. That way, you don't have a big inventory of pre-made chains. So I'm gonna show you some different things to look out for. So hope you enjoy the video. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take this bar and chain off. First thing you want to do is make sure the blade lock is off, because it tightens up the clutch. And it's real hard to pull this cover out. So make sure the brake is disengaged. Then your saws usually come with a tool like this. And that's really dirty there. We're gonna go ahead and clean it off really good. But here's your brake band right here. And with your brake on, it tightens it up and it's almost impossible to put it back on that clutch. So we're gonna clean it off really good. We're gonna go ahead and take this chain off. Reason why we're taking the chain off, they hit cement or a rock, and on top of these cutters, if you hit something and you continue cutting, this top edge starts folding down, and you can sharpen it, but the metal itself inside on top, the molecules are starting to, so the points start going down, so you can sharpen it. Then you start cutting, then the molecules in the metal or whatever, they're going to start folding down again. So if you hit some cement or hit a rock or something, best thing to do is put a new chain on, because you're going to spend more time sharpening it. And on the bar here, if this ain't wore off, this tells you what kind of chain and everything you need. It's a 0.325 chain, 66 drive links. That DL means drive length. Then it's a 0.50, the width of the drives. The thickness of these drives is 0.50. So you got to make sure all that stuff is the same, because they make this in a 0.63 for steels. And if you get that chain, it's not going to slide. So when you purchase a new pre-cut chain or whatever, all your information's right on the bar. But sometimes these get wore off. Then another important thing, this is one of the things I want to show you, is every now and then is rotate these bars so they wear evenly. And see, this was on like this, so see that oil hole, that's the oil goes in and lubricates the chain. That one's nice and clean. Well, if you flip it over and rotate it, see that one's all plugged up full of sawdust. You got to blow that out. Always check that on your bars. See, there's the oil hole right there on this side, and there's the oil hole on this side. You got to make sure them are not plugged up. If it's plugged up and you flip it over, no oil's going to get to your chain, and you're going to ruin a brand new chain. Then all this debris and everything here, see, there's where your oil comes out at right there. You got to clean it off real good and get that nice and clean. I'm going to put it on upside down because so it wears equally. I'm going to put that on there like that. And now we're going to go to the other side of the table and cut a piece of chain. So what this thing say here? 66 drive links. So we're going to come over here. And here's some of the tools you use when you make chains. This one here, I love this one right here, but I really don't care for the rivet popper. And I'll show you in a little second why I don't like that. Some people will disagree with me on this, but I'll show you in a second on that. But on my bulk chain, it's .325 and .050 is that gap of the drive links. That's what you want. I used to have a piece of wood with a graph on it with the different things, but I always end up screwing up my count on them. So I just like doing it the old fashioned way. I'll just count each drive length out. And we need 66 of them. Okay, I got my 66 drive length right there. And normally you'd use this little machine right here, which breaks some caps off them rivets. But if you don't have it on that block perfect, it will put stress on the outside rivets. It could put a hairline crack around it, and you don't know it. Then you're out cutting, and next thing you know, your chain flies off and it goes 50 yards in front of you. And that's because of this here. If you don't put it in that little block perfectly, it'll put stress on them outside rivets, and it could put a hairline crack, which would cause it to break. That's why I don't like these. I like using the bench grinder. I'll show you why I like doing it this way. Like I said, some people won't agree with me on this, but this is the way I like doing it. Just grind off the heads of the rivets is all you have to do. And it just pops right off. There's no stress on these outside rivets. Some people will say, well, you're crazy and everything. But let's bring the camera back over here. Or just put it over here. I got one of these things mounted over here. I just like using the old fashioned grinder. But it comes with a little block, I guess they call it. Let me get a short piece of chain here. Well, you fit it in that block right there. And you tighten it down. And when you do that, you can actually see it put stress on the other rivet. And if you don't watch that, you don't see that crack. Might come back to haunt you later on. But just watch the other side. See how it's putting stress on that? That's why I don't like them. I'm sorry, but I don't like them. I'd just rather take a grinder and grind the heads off, and they'd pop right out of there. So now it's put a new length. Okay, got my new connecting piece here. Put it on there and pop that on there. And make sure it goes in these little tracks. Line everything up and just start turning. Slowly turn this one in. And do it with the other side. And see that? Look how nice that looks. So now we can go ahead and go back over to the saw. I got this cleaned here, and we're putting a new chain on. So your chain tightener here, we're gonna have to turn it backwards to loosen it back up because the new chain ain't stretched out like the old chain. So we grab our chain. We got the oil holes all cleaned out. We got this all cleaned out. Always the pointers going forward. And we'll reinstall this. Kind of line that pin up with that hole. Gotta open it up just a little bit. Turned it back too far. Okay, and just put the nut on. We won't tighten it, just put it on. And then we'll go ahead and see how the chain is getting sucked up in there. You kind of want it snug, but not too tight. Because what we're going to do is we're going to tighten that nut up. And I'm going to start it up and let it run for about 30 seconds. Then I'll come back and tighten it again. Because if you don't, there's going to be a lot of slack. There's going to be a lot of slack in the chain. Then when we get that done, we'll properly tighten it up. So I'm going to move the camera here. So I'm going to start it up and let it run about 30 seconds. And I'm going to readjust that chain. And make sure the chain's nice and wet. That means your oiler's working good. See how nice and wet that chain is? And see how much that loosened up? That's why you do that for like about 30 seconds or so. And we'll come back, loosen that nut up a little bit. Just tighten up just a little bit. And my rule of thumb, some people think it's stupid, but I cut a lot of wood because that's how I heat my shop and everything. I cut a lot of wood. My best adjustment is right in the center of the chain. If you pick it up and the drive links just barely come out of that slot, I think that's about perfect right there. You don't want it too tight because you'll wear the front edge of your bar out and it stretches out your chain faster. I think that's about right there. Put something underneath of it. Tighten it down and don't hurt the cutters. And that's how you do it. I hope this video helps you out. Like, that's pretty much all brands of saws. It usually tells you what kind of chain, what size and everything on the bar, unless it's wore off. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with pre-cut, but when you live in small towns like where I do, it's hard going there and buying one. And if I stocked pretty much every pre-cut chain for every saw that I fix, I'd have one saw at a wall. That's why I like bulk chain. Anyways, appreciate you watching the video. If you like my videos, please press the like button and please subscribe. Anyway, you guys have a good afternoon.